I have a few liberal friends who I've heard complaining recently about being tired of constantly hearing these supposedly conservative talking points. Freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, etc., etc. I even have a friend who refused to listen to any negative criticism of Hillary Clinton at all. It was all, Trump said this, Trump said that, Trump is orange, blah, blah, blah. And then I tried to be reasonable about it. I said, okay, and I hear you. Trump definitely has some flaws. He's not the perfect candidate. I have issues with him too. But did you hear about the latest Clinton scandal? And his response to this was, no, I don't want to hear it. Trump's already so bad that I don't want to imagine another candidate as bad as him because it'd be depressing, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah, there are jaguars and snakes and quicksand. I'm not listening. I'm not kidding. Listen, you cannot go in there.
Still not listening.
He didn't even want to hear the other side of the argument. And he's perfectly in his right to ignore what I have to say, and he's perfectly in his right to express his feelings on the matter, but here's the problem. We don't listen to each other anymore. I find myself guilty of this too. It doesn't apply to only liberals. Both sides are guilty of this. We don't take the time to step out of our echo chambers and investigate arguments on the other side. Liberals have labeled conservatives as racists, homophobes, bigots, science deniers, Islamophobes, sexists, and every other buzzword under the sun. And conservatives have labeled liberals as libtards, fact deniers, or crybabies. I'm guilty of this as well to an extent. It's hard not to be with how polarizing politics are. It's not easy to venture out onto websites or forums or news stations where every single person disagrees with you or labels you as something that you're not. I tend to avoid BuzzFeed like the plague because they label people such as myself as anti-women for being pro-life. Vox, Huffington Post, Salon, they're all the same leftist garbage, and I do think it's fair now that I've perused their content for months now to label it as garbage. Not all arguments are created equal, and most of their arguments suck. However, I can't sit here and pretend like that doesn't happen on the right side too. If you go check out Drudge Report or to listen to Alex Jones constantly, you're not getting all sides of the story. It's important to open yourself up to other points of view.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap.
That doesn't mean opening YouTube and automatically disliking every anti-Trump video or disliking every pro-Trump video. It means understanding the other arguments out there. As someone who likes to debate, I like to know how to counter other points that people make. I found that among my demographic and the people that I surround myself with, I'm often the only one that shares my point of view. And that can be tricky. I feel like I need a few beers before I can take on 4 people at the same time. But this has allowed me to take the time to research topics thoroughly so I can defend my opinions when I'm outnumbered. I certainly believe that my ideas are better than some other people's ideas, but I'm also open to hearing other points of view. I never want to shut down the opposition because not only is it their right to express their point of view, but I try to take the opportunity to learn. I want to know if I'm missing something that I hadn't considered. I want to know how to make my arguments stronger. I want to know how to improve my rhetoric or knowledge about a subject. I'm not going to take a firm conservative stance on every issue just because it's conservative and conservative is how I identify. If I see that there are facts, figures, or statistics that counter my viewpoint, I'm sure as hell going to consider them. You are never going to convince someone of your opinions if you label them as a bigot because they disagree with you, or if you label them as a libtard when they're actually quite knowledgeable on certain subjects. Let's take Bill Maher for example. The only thing I agree with Bill Maher on is Islam, but other than that I could not disagree with him more on most issues. But this doesn't mean he's a stupid man, or that he hasn't done his research, or that he necessarily has some globalist agenda. It just means that we have different ideas on how to achieve the same result. A free world where anyone can find success. I know it's easier said than done, and I know that I'm probably preaching to the choir on this one. But all people need to do is step outside their echo chambers and recognize their confirmation bias by hearing the other side of an issue without getting worked up or offended about it. I was never a diehard liberal by any means, but in my naivete, I once held the opinion that being pro-choice was the only logical stance if you had any heart at all, and that all pro-lifers were religious nutcases. I've done a complete 180 in the sense that I now take the pro-life stance, but I can also appreciate the pro-choice stance for what it is. Ultimately, everyone wants a better society, and I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Hey Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, of course I can hear you. I just went to you.